Hello everyone, today we're going to look at an ink that's not necessarily new to me. I've actually had this ink for a little while now, but I've actually come to like it in the last little while. So the ink in question is this little one here. So the company is Koyo no Oto, and as you can see here on the label, it says number 5, and then underneath that it says N-O-E, how would you pronounce that? Aonibi. Anyway, we're going to say Aonibi, okay? Aonibi? Anyway, my pronunciation is kind of bad. But anyway, I received this a couple years ago, and I tried it in my Sailor Pro Gear with an extra fine nib, and I've tried it in a couple other pens, and I found it a little, I don't know, just a little not to my taste, I guess. But a few weeks ago, I put it in my vintage Aurora 88, which is a very wet pen, with I would assume it's a broad or a medium nib on it. It's a very juicy writer, and I think this ink was too dry for my fine or extra fine nibs. It just seemed very dry and pale and just lacked a little oomph, you know what I mean? And I had other inks in use that I preferred that were actually in some ways similar to it. So anyway, let's talk about the ink. So it comes in this, actually it's a Japanese ink, and I really like the design. It's just very simple. The box feels made from heavyweight paper rather than, say, cardboard. It's almost like a watercolor paper, has the watercolor texture, and I'm pretty sure actually it is a form of watercolor paper. And you open it up, and you get a very nice little bottle, very simple design. I love Japanese design of their stationery products. It's either over the top or very tastefully simple. Tastefully over the top might be another word I could use for a lot of their stuff too. I like when Japanese stationery goes over the top. I like when Japanese stationery just pulls back and allows the materials to shine. Very simple little paper label on it. Japanese characters up here. Number 5, Aonibi. I'm saying that wrong, I know. So on the box, at the back, you see the information, made in Kyoto, Japan. And then there's the word tag, T-A-G, in capital letters. Now, I often think, I remember, I used to be, well, I'm a big Formula One fan, and I remember back in the 80s watching McLaren, and they had a partnership with TAG Porsche, but it stood for Technologies Avant-Garde. And this isn't what this is. TAG, T-A-G, and I'm not too sure how it's pronounced in Japanese or if it just goes by TAG, is a stationery company. I have a bit of information about it. So, yeah, TAG, and so a collaboration between it's a collaboration between the TAG stationery shop, and they have a website online. Very nice little shop by the look of it. I would love to spend some time in Kyoto or Tokyo just wandering around with lots of money in my pocket spending stuff, picking up things. But so it's a collaboration between a stationery shop, TAG, and Kyoto Kusakubi Laboratories. And yes, I'm saying that wrong too. I'll put information down in the description. And that's a specialist in color dyes. So so they made this ink following traditional Japanese dyeing techniques dating back to the Heian era. Once again, I'm probably saying that wrong, which was 794 to 1185 AD. Now, the range covers 2 lines, the Koyo no Oto, which is this, and the Koyo Iro. And it's made up of 10 traditional Japanese colors. So Japanese art, printmaking, calligraphy, drawing, painting, you know, very simple, beautiful color palettes. And not much more I can tell you about it other than that. Okay, so, but we're going to do a little writing sample, and we're going to compare it with an ink that I think is very similar in some ways, but slightly different. So anyway, let's talk about the packaging. It has this beautiful bottle. I really like the bottle. It's just a, you know, it has a very wide clear glass base. It's kind of oval shape, you know, in just a round cap. It's just very simple. And I believe there are, yes, there's 40 milliliters of ink in this. And this was purchased at Wonder Pens in Toronto, Canada. And it wasn't, going on their website, they still carry the line. Sometimes they're out of stock, of course. And it's retails in Canada for $44 Canadian. So it's not an inexpensive ink. You can find lots of different inks that are cheaper. But for somebody who's into inks, you know, it makes a great gift. Great gift. So think about it. I'm not too sure what other companies in Canada carry this ink, but I know you can get it at Wonder Pens. Very nice little cap, smooth. In some ways, I would have liked a little bit of knurling on this, just so for my old hands could grip it better. But that's neither here or there. It opens up nicely. Very stable bottle. I have cats. It's important to have stable bottles. We'll just do a little color swatch, and we'll do a little writing sample. So the first color, when I look at it, that comes to mind is denim blue. You know, blue jeans or dark, unfaded denim. That's the color that comes to mind. As you can see there. I would say there's not really much shading or sheening going on with this ink. There's no sheen that I've seen. And as it dries, it gets paler. As you see, it's starting to dry. I read somewhere somebody thought they saw some green in it, but I have not noticed that. I'm going to do a little writing sample. So yeah, this is a Aurora 88, an Italian pen, a very wet writer, and it's the pen that made me like this ink. Sometimes you put an ink in a pen and it doesn't work. And sometimes you take that same ink and you put it in a different pen and it works and you end up liking it. And there are some inks that you put in any type of pen and they work. Which do you prefer? I don't know. Now, even in a juicy writer, it still feels a little dry, but it's coming down as a darker line. There's a bit of line variation on the upstrokes, downstrokes. You get a little bit of darker here and there. So yeah, that's quite nice actually. And as I said, I had tried it in my Sailor, my old Sailor that I've traded away, which had an extra fine nib, and I always struggled to find an ink that I liked in that pen. And this one, when I used it in the Sailor, was very light to my taste and just didn't seem to have any pizzazz or anything like that. And this is a very wet pen, right? So I'm just going to let that sit for a second. And as you can see, it dries pretty quickly, right? Yeah, so it dries fairly fast. So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And I'm looking forward to trying this in a couple other pens that I have that I know are quite quite juicy. I'll try them in that. And yeah, I like it. As a gift, I love it, really. I don't know if I'd I don't know if I would buy it for myself. It's a great little present for somebody. Certain things like that are, you know, are great presents. Beautiful bottle, beautiful packaging, very nice ink. Something different, something that's not always seen in stationery shops wherever you go. And there are some small companies in Japan and Taiwan, Ink Institute in Taiwan, for instance. I would say dominant industry, but there seems to be a lot more dominant industry around nowadays. I'm not too sure what other things are coming out of Japan. There are a few different companies I've seen, but yeah, I quite like this. I believe you can get it on Pensachi in Japan, so I could be wrong there. But yeah, I quite like it. Now I'm going to compare it to an ink that is one of my favorites, which is Oxford Blue. And this ink, I have the opposite reaction. I've always found this ink very nice in whatever pen I put it in, right? Which is a great thing when you can find an ink like this, and it works very well in any number of pens, and in some cases seems to improve the pen. Now, dominant industry, Diamine. This is Diamine. Diamine Oxford Blue is a British ink, and as it goes down, it's quite a bit darker, and a little bit more red in it, a little bit more, less, I can see sort of a, you know, as it dries, I see the darker, this ink, I see similarities in the darker sections, for instance. But yeah, they're quite different in many ways, but in some ways they quite often remind me of each other. I'm just rambling here. I'm making this up. But this is a nice little sailor that I have. It's just a pocket pen, and very fine nib on this one. Now, with my old sailor, I found that the only ink that I really liked in it was Diamine Oxford Blue. And when you look at the writing, you know, I see similarities. Like this, of course, is a much finer nib. This is a much broader medium nib. You know, this is overall a much darker. This is a denim blue. You can see the darker area there, matching up almost with the lighter areas here. Now, if I was, say, walking into a shop and I had to restock, if I was out of both of these, you know, and I look at the price and I look at what I like, I would go with the Oxford Blue. But it's always nice to try something new. So, yeah. All in all, it's a very nice little ink. It's something I haven't tried before. I like trying new things. Don't know if I'd try another color. I might have to think about that. Anyway, let me know in the comments. Have you tried this ink? What do you like it? How do you like it? What other ink, a different brand or maybe a different Diamine, maybe a Pilot, what other ink is comparable to this ink here? You know, I can think of some denim blues, for instance, from different companies. So yeah, Koyo no Oto, Aonibi, and No.5. I guess No.5 is the, well, they're all numbered, so they all, you know, you can just order it as No.5 or purchase it as No.5 or refer to it as No.5. Then there's No.6, No.7, No.1, Anyway, so let me know in the comments. How do you like the ink? Have you tried it? Do you have other inks that are comparable that you like better? It's always fun to find this information out. If you're new around here, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And I'll be doing more ink comparisons. I kind of like trying to compare inks and looking at different inks that I have and things like that. So anyway, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave comments. I always read them. and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.